It was 6:42 p.m. on a Thursday evening when Maya Carter's world tilted on its axis. Not with a bang, but with a calm, measured sentence delivered across a desk she'd come to both dread and revere. "I want you to pretend to be my girlfriend," Diana Westbrook said, her voice as cold and smooth as the glass of scotch in her hand, as if she were discussing a quarterly report and not detonating a bomb in the middle of Maya's meticulously organized universe. For 3.5 years, Maya had worked for Diana, survived her more accurately. She'd learned how to navigate the CEO's sharp silences, decipher her clipped one-word emails, and anticipate her needs before they were spoken. Diana was the kind of boss who didn't tolerate mistakes, didn't accept excuses, and most certainly did not bring her personal life into the office. That boundary had been rigid, sacred until now. Maya blinked once, twice, her fingers still poised above the keyboard of her laptop. I'm sorry. Did you say girlfriend?" Diana leaned back in her chair, the soft rustle of her tailored navy suit the only sound in the cavernous office. "My family is gathering for New Year's at our estate in Washington. It's an annual tradition. They're obsessed with the idea that I should be settling down, starting a family, that kind of thing." She took a slow sip of her drink, eyes never leaving Ma's. "I need them off my back temporarily." Mia's stomach twisted. This had to be a joke, some HR violating prank. "Why me?" "Because you're the only person I trust to pull it off." That answer hit harder than Maya expected. She wasn't sure Diana Westbrook trusted anyone, least of all her. And because Diana continued, "You're smart, quick on her feet, and capable of keeping a straight face through a family dinner without crumbling." Maya sat back, heart pounding. "This is insane. You want me to go to your family's estate and pretend we're together? Like in a relationship?" "Exactly like that," Diana said. "You'll be compensated, of course. A $10,000 bonus and a promotion. When we get back." Maya's breath caught. $10,000. That was more than she'd saved all year. And the promotion, that would mean a real salary, more hours, more responsibility, but also more money. Money she needed for tuition for her mom's medication for breathing room. It would only be for a few days. Diana added, "We leave the morning. After Christmas and return on the 2nd. You'll have time to prepare. I'll brief you on everything." Maya opened her mouth, closed it. The words weren't coming. Diana, this is say yes." Diana interrupted, her voice lower now, almost pleading. And it was the softness that unnerved Maya most of all. She'd never heard it before. Not in boardrooms, not during crises, not even in those rare, quiet late nights, when they'd both stayed late and shared silent coffees across the vast expanse of the office. "Say yes, and I'll take care of the rest." The silence stretched. Maya's heart beat like a drum in her ears. This was a mistake, 1,000 kinds of mistake. But then she thought of her mom, of the letter from the financial aid office sitting unopened in her apartment, of how tired she was of barely scraping by. "Okay," she whispered before she could stop herself. "I'll do it." Dinah's expression didn't change, but something in her eyes flickered. Approval, gratitude, relief. It was gone too fast to tell. "Good," she said. "Then we begin tomorrow." And just like that, Maya's fate was sealed. The next week was a blur of information. Long emails detailing Diana's childhood, her favorite wine, how they supposedly met at a tech conference 2 years ago, inside jokes they need to invent, stories they need to memorize. Maya practiced smiling at photos of Diana without looking like a hostage. She memorized names. Diana's mother, the formidable matriarch, her brother, a venture capitalist, her younger sister, a yoga instructor in Oregon. There was a cousin who was suspicious of everyone, a great aunt with a photographic memory, and a family dog named Socrates who apparently hated strangers. "It'll be fine," Diana said one evening as they sat in her office going over details. "Just follow my lead." Mia wanted to ask what exactly Diana had told them, how far the lie had gone, but she bit her tongue. The morning of December 26th arrived. With snow and a thick tension that clung to Maya like frost, She wore a beige coat and her best boots, suitcase in hand as Diana's town car pulled up in front of her building. Diana, as usual, was flawless, black turtleneck, camel coat, dark sunglasses despite the gray sky. "Ready?" she asked. Maya nodded, sliding into the back seat beside her. The drive to the estate was quiet, the road winding through forests and snow-covered hills. Maya tried not to imagine the awkward dinners, the constant performance. She could survive a few days. She'd survived worse, but nothing prepared her for what happened next. The Westbrook estate was less a house and more a fortress of glass and steel tucked into the wilderness. Warm lights spilled from the windows, laughter echoing as the front door opened and family poured out to greet them. Diana stepped forward first, arms opening in a rare show of affection for a woman who is usually all business. "Everyone," she said, her voice calm, confident, practiced. "This is Maya." Dozens of eyes turned to her. Maya forced a smile. "My fiancé?" Diana finished. Time stopped. The word echoed like a gunshot in Maya's head. "Fiance? Fiance?" She turned to Diana. Lips parted in horror, but the other woman was already pulling her close, arms sliding around Maya's waist like they did. This every day, and the crowd cheered. Someone screamed. Someone clapped. A champagne cork popped. "Tell us the proposal story." A cousin shouted, "When's the wedding?" Maya's brain short-circuited. She was going to kill her. She was going to murder her boss. And then, as Dinah leaned in, pressing her lips against Maya's, temple in a show of intimate affection, she whispered, "You wanted a promotion, didn't you?" And all Mia could do was smile. Mia had no idea how she was still breathing. Her lungs worked mechanically, but her brain had gone completely offline the moment the word fiancé left Diana's lips. Now, less than 10 minutes later, she was being ushered into the Westbrook estate like some long-lost daughter. Arms wrapping around her from all directions, voices overlapping, questions flying. "You're stunning. No wonder she fell for you. How did she propose? Are you planning a winter wedding?" Dinah didn't tell us she was even dating someone. We thought she was married to the company. Laughter. More hugs. A glass of champagne was shoved into her hand before she could form a coherent sentence. And all the while, Dinah stood beside her, calm and unreadable. Her arm casually looped around Maya's waist, like they were the most natural couple in the world. Mia didn't trust herself to look at her. If she did, she might crack. So she smiled tight and practiced and leaned into the contact like she was supposed to. And when Diana's fingers gently grazed her hip in what appeared to be an affectionate gesture, Maya didn't flinch, but her skin burned. It wasn't until they were finally alone in their shared bedroom that Maya spun around and hissed. Fiancée Diana set her coat on the tufted bench at the foot of the king-sized bed, utterly unfazed. It was the simplest way to avoid questions. Simplest? You think adding a fake engagement on top of a fake relationship makes things simpler? They'd interrogate a girlfriend, a fiancé they respect. It gives us distance. Distance. Maya's voice rose. "They asked how you proposed. They asked about our wedding date." I almost choked on champagne. Dinah walked to the window, peering out at the snow-covered trees like they were far more interesting. Then Maya's panic. "You handled it well." "I wasn't trying to handle anything, Diana. You ambushed me." "You agreed to this," she said simply, turning back. "And it's working. They're buying it. Because I'm a good liar," Mia snapped. Dinah's eyes narrowed just slightly. "Then keep lying. Just for a few more days." Ma's mouth opened, but the words tangled in her throat. Diana wasn't yelling. She wasn't even angry. Just cold, and that somehow made it worse. The room was large with exposed wooden beams and soft cream walls, a fire already crackling in the hearth. One massive bed sat in the center, the sheets impossibly white and smooth. Ma stared at it. "We're sharing that." Diana raised a brow. "Do you want to explain to my mother why my fiancé is sleeping in the guest room?" Maya groaned and dropped her suitcase with a thud. This is going to kill me. Diana crossed the room, standing a little too close. You'll survive, she said, voice low. If you stop overthinking everything. Maya rolled her eyes, but the air between them shifted. Just a little, not enough to call attention. Not yet. But something almost imperceptible vibrated in the silence. Maya broke it first. What did you tell them about us? That we've been dating for 2 years. That we met at a women in tech conference in Portland. That you love red wine, hate camping, and have a terrible sense of direction. Maya blinked. I do have a terrible sense of direction. I know. Diana's lips quirked barely, and it felt like watching the Mona Lisa smirk in real time. Maya looked away, and what else? That I proposed 6 months ago on a weekend trip to Big Sur? That you cried? That we haven't set a date yet because work is crazy? Did you make all of that up mostly and your family just believes you? Diana's smile didn't reach her eyes. They want to believe it. Maya didn't know what that meant, and she wasn't sure she wanted to. The next day was a whirlwind of meals, family games, snowball fights, and casual interrogations disguised as conversation. Maya was always beside Diana, sometimes holding her hand, sometimes brushing against her shoulder, always acting like she belonged. It was exhausting. But what surprised her most was how well Diana played the part. She was warm. She laughed at her aunt's jokes. She helped her niece build a snowman. She even made hot cocoa for Maya when she came in from the cold, muttering something about frostbite prevention before walking away. It didn't add up. Diana at the office was rigid and composed, barely human. Diana here was different, not quite soft, but not the same woman Maya had built mental armor against for years. And every time she caught herself watching her for a moment, too long with questions on her tongue she didn't dare ask. Maya reminded herself, this is just a performance. But that didn't explain the flutter in her chest when Diana reached for her hand during a story about their trip to Italy. Or the way her pulse jumped when Diana brushed snow out of her hair like it was the most natural thing in the world. That night in bed, they lay back to back, a wide gulf of pillows between them. Maya couldn't sleep. The silence was too loud. Your family seems to love you, she said quietly, unsure why she was talking at all. Diana didn't respond for so long. Maya thought she'd fallen asleep. Then they love the version of me I let them see. Maya frowned, staring at the ceiling. What does that mean? Diana's voice was quieter now. Not cold, just tired. It means they see what they want to see. And I let them. Maya turned slightly. Is that what this is about? Keeping up appearances. A beat then another. Something like that. It wasn't an answer, but it wasn't a lie either. And somehow that was more intimate than anything they'd faked all day. They lay in silence again, closer to the truth than either of them realized. And Maya, against her better judgment, found herself wondering who Diana Westbrook really was. Under the mask, under the ice, and why the thought of finding out scared her more than she wanted to admit. The morning came wrapped in quiet. Snow still dusted the windowsills, and the scent of coffee lingered faintly in the air, but Ma stayed. In bed longer than usual. Her body curled toward the warmth Diana left behind. She hadn't meant to notice that warmth. Love what you've seen so far and want to help me keep creating these awesome stories on this channel? Then subscribe and hit the bell. Your subscription supports the channel and makes sure you get more exciting stories. She hadn't meant to feel the way Diana shifted in her sleep, or the way her breathing slowed when Maya whispered into the dark. But the truth was something had shifted. Not just in the story they were telling, but in the way Maya began looking at her. It was subtle, dangerous, and entirely out of her control. When she finally emerged from the bedroom, Dinah was all ready. Downstairs, surrounded by a half circle of nieces and nephews, begging for stories about their love story. Maya froze on the stairs, watching as Diana knelt in front of them, poised, calm, commanding, yet oddly charming. She wasn't acting cold. She was answering their questions with just enough humor and mystery to make the kids giggle, and the adults in the room nod with adoration. Maya had never seen her like this. She couldn't look away. There was the fiancé, someone called out, snapping her attention back to herself in a flash. All eyes were on her. Maya, you have to tell us the proposal story. Diana won't give us the details. Yes, said a cousin, laughing. We want to know everything. Where was it? What did she say? Did you cry? Maya blinked, mouth dry. She hadn't rehearsed this. Dinah had mentioned a beach in Big Sioux. Sure, but the specifics, nothing. Not how, not when, and certainly not what she'd felt. She glanced at Diana, who sat back on her heels, arms folded, amused expression on her face. No help. This was her test. Maya took a breath and stepped forward slowly. It was raining, she began, and a hush fell over the room. It wasn't. Supposed to be. The forecast said sunny skies, but of course we ended up in the middle of a storm. Dinah's brow lifted. Maya didn't care. She kept going. We were on the cliffs above the beach. I was cold and grumpy, and I kept asking why we were there in the first place. I didn't know she had this whole thing planned. A blanket, wine, a picnic that got completely soaked. The group laughed. Dinah was perfectly still. She was wearing this ridiculous sweater. Maya continued, heart pounding, gray and itchy and not even warm, and her hair was wet. And she looked so pissed at the weather. I remember thinking she was going to call the whole thing off. But then she turned to me so serious, and she said, I don't care if it's raining. I want this moment. I want you. Maya's voice cracked just slightly, and a hush fell over the room again. And then she pulled out the ring. It was in this tiny little velvet box that she kept in her coat, and it was completely soaked. I couldn't even see the stone, but she got down on one knee, and she swallowed. I cried. I didn't even say yes right away. I just kissed her. Silence, then applause, laughter, whistles. Someone actually wiped a tear. Maya forced a smile as arms pulled her into hugs and voices echoed. Praise. She felt dazed, detached. It was a lie. All of it. And yet. When she finally looked at Diana, something in the woman's expression had cracked. Her lips were parted. Her eyes, normally shielded like mirror glass, held something softer, vulnerable. And Maya felt it then for the first time. The story had touched her. Not because it was true, but because it could have been. They didn't speak for a while after that. The day unfolded around them with walks through the snow, board games by the fire, and endless interruptions. But something hung in the air between them. Something unspoken and electric, a wire stretched tight and trembling. That night, after everyone had gone to bed, Maya returned to the bedroom first. She stood in front of the mirror, brushing her hair with slow strokes, trying to keep her thoughts from spiraling. Dinah walked in a few minutes later, quiet and graceful already. Changed into black silk pajama pants and a soft long-sleeved shirt that made her look approachable. Less CEO, more woman. The story, Dinah said suddenly, her voice low, was good. Maya met her eyes in the mirror. I made it up. I know. Diana crossed the room and sat on the edge of the bed. But it was believable. Too believable. Maya turned, resting the brush on the dresser. That was the assignment, wasn't it? You didn't have to say it like that. With feeling, Maya felt heat rise in her cheeks. You think I meant it, did you? The silence was too sharp, too charged. No, Mia said after a beat. I was acting. Diana nodded slowly, but her gaze didn't leave her. You cried. I'm dramatic. Maya shot back, heart thundering. You should know that by now. Another silence, another step closer to something dangerous. Diana stood and crossed the room, slow and deliberate. When she stopped in front of Maya, there was barely a breath between them. You said I told you, I want this moment. I want you. Maya's throat tightened. I liked the line. Dinah's voice dropped. So did I, and then nothing. No kiss, no touch, just the air between them, thick with tension and all the things neither of them would say. Diana stepped back first, slipping into bed without another word. Ma stayed by the mirror, her reflection blurred by the dim light and the pulse rushing in her ears. When she finally climbed into bed beside her, the space between them felt like an ocean, but it wasn't as wide as it had been the night before. The next morning came with fresh snow and the promise of another endless day pretending to be in love. But after the story Maya had told, something had changed. She could feel it even before she opened her eyes. Diana's presence beside her was no longer just a physical fact. It carried weight, heat, awareness. When Ma stirred, Dinah was already awake. Her body turned ever so slightly toward her. Their faces were inches apart, close enough to feel breath, close enough to see the way Diana's lashes fanned against her cheeks. Maya didn't move. She didn't speak. She just watched. And Diana, eyes still closed, whispered in a voice so soft it barely existed, "You talk in your sleep." Maya froze. "What?" Diana's eyes opened slow and steady. "You said my name." Heat rose instantly to Maya's face. "I didn't. You did. You're lying." "I'm not." A long silence followed. Diana didn't smile, didn't tease, just watched her, gaze unreadable but intense. And Maya hated that she couldn't tell if this was part of the game or something else entirely. Before she could answer, a knock on the door shattered the moment. "Breakfast in 10, someone?" Called. And don't forget, couples game in the sunroom. After Diana groaned softly and threw an arm over her eyes. "Please tell me they're joking." Maya climbed out of bed. "You're the one who told them we were engaged. This is your circus now." "They're relentless." "They're family," Maya said, and Diana didn't reply. The sunroom was all golden light and laughter, the kind of warmth that seeped into skin and disarmed people without them realizing it. Maya and Diana sat side by side on a vintage love seat, while the rest of the couples took their places. The rules were simple. Answer questions about your partner. The couple with the most matching answers won a bottle of expensive wine and bragging rights for the rest of the year. Maya felt her stomach twist as no cards were handed out. Diana took hers wordlessly, eyes scanning the questions. "You ready?" Maya asked, half joking, half dreading. Diana looked at her, that perfect poker face intact. "Are you?" The first question was harmless enough. What's her favorite color? Maya scribbled down charcoal gray without hesitation. Diana, when prompted, raised her card and revealed the same. The room cheered. "Of course it's gray," someone muttered. "She dresses like a sexy Bond villain." Maya smirked despite herself. The next few questions were more difficult, but they managed. "Favorite movie?" Diana. "The Godfather?" Maya. "Clueless." "Dream Vacation." Maya wrote Grease. Diana gazed steadily. "Favorite flower?" They both missed it. But then the questions started to shift. "What's her biggest fear?" Maya hesitated. She had no idea. Diana Westbrook didn't fear anything except maybe. Maya wrote slowly. "Failure." Diana's eyes met hers across the edge of the card. She raised hers. It said the same thing. The room went quiet. "Wow," someone murmured. "That's intense." Diana didn't blink. Maya's hand trembled just slightly. The next question. What's her most embarrassing memory? Maya wrote something light. A spilled drink at a company event. Diana raised her card. Middle school talent show. Forgot the lyrics. Cried on stage. The entire room softened. Laughed gently. Maya glanced at her surprised. Diana wasn't looking at anyone. Her shoulders were tense, her mouth tight. Mia could feel her pulling back inside herself like a reflex. Without thinking, Maya reached over and placed a hand on Diana's knee, grounding her. The touch was light, intentional. Diana didn't move. For a long moment, she just stayed still, like she was memorizing the shape of that comfort. The next question hit even harder. What's the thing she hides from everyone? Diana didn't write. Maya hesitated. Her pen hovered. Her mind raced. What would Diana write about her? What did Maya even hide? After a moment, she scribbled something. That she's lonelier. Then she lets on. Diana's card went up. That she's always performing. The answers weren't identical, but the silence that followed felt heavy, real. The rest of the game blurred by. Someone else won. No one cared. Everyone filtered out for lunch. Laughter returning. But Maya and Diana lingered behind, still seated. Still quiet. You wrote about loneliness, Diana said at last. Maya nodded. It felt true. It was. She didn't say anything else. She didn't need to. That night, they returned to their shared room in silence. The space felt different now, like the walls themselves were listening. Maya brushed her teeth, slipped into an oversized sweater, and climbed into bed. Dinah was already there, facing away. Maya lay on her back, staring at the ceiling. Then, without looking, she whispered, "Was it true what you wrote about always performing?" Dinah's voice was quiet. "Yes, even now." A pause, especially now. Maya swallowed. "You're good at it." "So, are you?" Maya turned to face her. "I don't want to be." Diana did too slowly. Their eyes met across the pillows, inches apart in the dark. Then, "Stop." "I can't," Maya whispered. "Not when it feels like everything depends on keeping it up." Dinah's gaze didn't waver. "I know the feeling." In that moment, the performance cracked. Not fully, not loudly, but enough. Diana reached across the space and brushed Maya's fingers lightly once, then twice. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't sexual. It was something far more dangerous, intimate, human. And Maya, without meaning to hold on. The snow had started falling again, slow and soft like confetti from the sky, coating the trees in powdered sugar and silencing the world beneath it. Maya had always found something strangely peaceful in snow. It muffled the chaos, forced everything to slow down. Today, though, it only added to the unease twisting inside her as she followed the rest of the Westbrooks into the forest trail behind the estate. "It's tradition," Dinah's cousin had said cheerfully. "We walk the woods every year. Clears the mind before the new one begins." Maya wasn't sure her mind needed clearing so much as grounding. She hadn't slept well. Diana had barely said a word since the game yesterday, and now they were walking side by side, bundled in coats and scarves, their shoulders brushing every so often, the silence between them thicker than the snow. Maya tried not to notice how Diana looked in winter, how the sharp lines of her cheekbones were softened by the cold, how her dark lashes caught the snow like they were made for it. She tried not to notice, but she did. "You're quiet," Maya said. After a long stretch of silence, Diana didn't look at her. "I'm always quiet." "No, you're controlled. This is different." A beat passed. Then Diana sighed. "The game yesterday. It brought up things I wasn't expecting." Maya nodded. "Same, you were right, by the way, about me. Hiding how lonely I am." Maya blinked, surprised by the admission. "That wasn't about you." "Not entirely. It was close enough." They kept walking. The rest of the group had drifted ahead, their laughter echoing faintly through the trees. The snow grew thicker, heavier. Maya realized suddenly that they were falling behind. Maybe intentionally. Maybe not. "Do you regret it?" she asked quietly. "Bringing me here?" Dinah's eyes flicked toward her, unreadable. "No, even with all the pretending." "Especially with all the pretending," Maya frowned. "That doesn't make sense." Dinah stopped walking. Maya did too. The forest around them was quiet, snow settling on branches and hats and boots. Dinah turned to face her. "You asked me the other night if I'm always performing." Maya nodded. "I realized something." Diana said, "This with you is the first time in a long time it doesn't feel like a performance." Maya's heart stuttered. "You mean here with your family or in general?" "Both." For a moment, neither of them spoke. A soft breeze blew between them, carrying a few stray snowflakes. One landed gently on Maya's cheek. She didn't move, didn't flinch, but her breath hitched when Diana lifted her hand slowly, gently. Her fingers brushed Maya's skin, sweeping the flake away with a touch so light it barely existed. Mia's eyes widened. Diana didn't stop. Her hand lingered, then moved up into Maya's hair, and then, with impossible tenderness, she tucked a strand behind Mia's ear. The world narrowed, no footsteps, no cold, just this, just them. Mia's breath caught in her throat. Her skin buzzed where Diana's fingers had touched her. She didn't know what to say. Didn't want to ruin it. Diana's hand dropped, but her gaze didn't. She was watching Maya like she was trying to memorize her. That wasn't part of the act, Maya whispered. Dinah shook her head. No, it wasn't. The silence that followed was thick with everything neither dared say. Maya could feel her heartbeat in her throat, in her fingers and the space between them, and then footsteps, voices, laughter. The family was returning. The spell shattered. Dinah took a step back, composed herself. Maya swallowed hard and turned away, forcing her feet to move to carry her through the snow, through the moment that had left her shaken in ways she didn't yet understand. That night at dinner, things were different. Nobody else noticed, but Mia did. Diana sat closer than usual. Her hand brushed Mia's under the table twice and didn't move away the second time. Their eyes met across the candles more than once, and each glance felt heavier than the last. Maya was hyper-aware of her presence now, the smell of her perfume, the sound of her laugh, the warmth of her body beside her. It was torture and it was addicting. After dessert, Dinah's sister asked to see the engagement ring. I never got a proper look, she said, reaching across the table. Maya froze. Diana, without missing a beat, slid her hand into Maya's lap. There was no ring. They had forgotten. Maya looked at her, panicked. Diana lifted her glass. We're actually redesigning it, she said smoothly. Mia wanted something more personal, something unique, right, sweetheart? The word hit Maya like a shot of heat. She nodded. Yeah, I didn't want something that looked like everyone else's. The room melted into satisfied smiles and approval, but under the table, Dinah's hands stayed on Ma's, and Maya didn't move it. Later, in their bedroom, Maya finally spoke. Why did you touch me like that? Diana was brushing her hair in front of the mirror. She didn't look up. Like, what? In the woods? Diana paused because I wanted to. Was it just the moment? No, she turned slowly to face Maya. It was you. Maya's mouth went dry. You keep doing that, she said. Voice shaking, saying things that sound like the truth but don't make sense. They only don't make sense if you're still pretending, aren't we? Another silence. Dinah crossed the room, slow, measured, stopped just in front of her. I'm not sure anymore. Maya felt like the floor had disappeared beneath her. She wanted to run. She wanted to stay. She wanted to be kissed, but instead, she whispered, Neither am I. They didn't touch again that night. They didn't need to. The distance between their bed sheets had disappeared. Not physically, but emotionally. Whatever wall they had built was cracking, and neither of them had the strength to stop it. The house was quiet in the way only large houses get. Spacious, echoing silence that made every sound feel bigger, heavier. It was just after 2 o'clock in the morning when Maya slipped out of bed, unable to sleep. She padded barefoot down the hallway, her sweater wrapped tight around her, the cold floorboards biting at her skin. She didn't know what she was looking for. Maybe air, maybe stillness, maybe distance from the way Diana had looked at her that evening, like she wanted to say something, but was too afraid of what it might unleash. Maya wasn't doing much better. Her thoughts had been spinning for hours. Every touch, every glance, every word they'd shared in the last few days had burrowed into her skin and refused to leave. And now here she was in the dark kitchen, pouring herself a glass of water she didn't want, hoping it would calm the restless ache that had settled under her ribs. She didn't hear Diana come in. She only felt it, her presence entering the room, like a shift in gravity. Maya turned startled to find her standing in the doorway in an oversized sweatshirt and leggings, hair loose around her shoulders, eyes shadowed with exhaustion and something else Maya couldn't name. Couldn't sleep? Diana asked, voice hushed. Maya shook her head. Too much in my head. Same. Diana walked over and leaned against the opposite counter, watching her. I heard you get up. Thought maybe you were leaving. Why would I leave? Because I'm making this complicated, Diana said. And I didn't mean to. Maya let out a soft, dry laugh. Too late for that. A beat of silence passed. Then another. This doesn't feel fake anymore, Maya said suddenly, surprising even herself. Diana didn't move. Her expression didn't change. But something in her eyes flashed, like recognition, like relief, like regret. I know, she said. I keep telling myself it's just the setting, the quiet, the pretending. But it's not just that, is it? No, Diana said, and still neither moved. The space between them buzzed, alive with everything they weren't saying. Maya set her glass down slowly, her fingers trembling. Why do you keep looking at me like that? Diana's voice was lower now. Like what? Like you want to kiss me. I pause because I do. Maya's breath caught her heartbeat so hard she could feel it in her fingertips. Then why haven't you? Diana pushed off the counter and took a single step forward. Because if I kiss you, she said softly, I won't want to stop. Maya didn't move. She couldn't. She wanted this. God, she wanted this. But fear coiled inside her like a live wire. This isn't real, she whispered. Diana came closer. Does it feel fake to you? Maya looked at her, really looked at the lines of her face, the shadows beneath her eyes, the tension in her shoulders, the way her fingers twitched like she was holding herself back. No, Maya breathed. Diana reached out, then slowly, one hand, came to rest on Mia's arm. Barely a touch, a test. Maya leaned into it, her head tilted slightly, lips parted, breath shallow. Diana's other hand hovered near her face, trembling now. She leaned in close enough for Maya to feel the heat of her skin, the soft exhale of her breath, the scent of her clean, familiar, intoxicating. And then a sound, a soft creak, a gasp. Maya froze. Diana stiffened. They turned together to find a figure standing just beyond the kitchen threshold. Dinah's younger cousin, maybe 14, maybe 15. Her eyes were wide, her mouth parted, her face frozen in surprise. Oh, she said, backing up. I didn't mean to. I didn't see anything. She turned and ran. Gone. Silence exploded between them. Maya pulled away. Dinah's hand dropped. The warmth between them evaporated in an instant. Shit, Maya whispered. Dinah turned toward the counter, gripping the edge like she needed something to anchor her. She's going to tell someone. Maybe not. She's a teenager, Diana said. She's going to tell everyone. Maya wrapped her arms around herself, suddenly cold. Do you think they'll be upset? Not about two women kissing, Diana said. They've known I'm queer forever, but about the lie, the engagement, that might be harder to explain. Maya bit her lip. So what do we do? Diana looked at her. Something unreadable in her expression. We pretend harder. And just like that, the moment was buried, not erased, just pushed down deep beneath everything else. But the damage was done. The need was out in the open now, acknowledged, undeniable. And Maya knew as she followed Diana silently back up the stairs that this was no longer a question of if, only when, only how long they could keep pretending they didn't already belong to each other more than either of them wanted to admit. It had snowed again overnight. Thick, heavy flakes that blanketed the world in silence and pushed everyone indoors. The Westbrook estate was glowing with warmth, crackling fireplaces in every room, the scent of cinnamon and cloves drifting through, the air and soft laughter echoing from board games and shared drinks. Maya felt like she was floating through it all. Not quite grounded, not since the almost kiss in the kitchen. She could still feel it. Diana's breath against hers, the weight of her words, the quiet tension that had folded around them like storm waiting to break. And now there was something new in the way they looked at each other. No longer confusion, no longer caution, but recognition. As if they both knew what this was becoming, even if neither dared say it. After dinner, the family split into small groups. Some played cards, others prepared hot cocoa. A few disappeared upstairs. Maya found herself in the library, curled up, in a blanket on the floor by the grand stone fireplace, watching the flames twist and dance. It was peaceful, soothing. She didn't even hear Diana approach, but when she looked up, the woman was already there holding 2 mugs. She offered one without a word. Maya took it, fingers brushing, the contact sparking again like it always did now. Diana sat beside her, not too close, not far either. They sipped in silence for a few minutes. Maya broke it first. What's in this? Cocoa with a hint of keen. Maya raised a brow. Spicy hot chocolate? Try it, she didn't gasp. That's unexpectedly good. Diana smirked. Unexpectedly is how I prefer to operate. Maya turned to her, eyes narrowing playfully. You say that like you're proud of it. I am. Another beat? Then Maya leaned back against the arm of the couch. I keep trying to figure you out. And you're complicated. That's a polite way of saying difficult. No, Maya said, her voice softer now. I mean, I had this version of you in my head. Ice Queen, untouchable. But then you made hot chocolate with Can, and now I'm questioning everything. Dinah chuckled. Not a polite one, a real laugh, low and warm. It sent a flutter through Maya's chest. All right, Dinah said. Let me make this worse for you. Oh, no, you know those spelling bees they do on TV. I won one when I was 11. Regional level, beat 39 other kids. Maya blinked. You are a spelling bee champion. Nim, you're joking. I have the trophy somewhere at my apartment. It's hideous. Gold with fake wings. That's adorable. Dinah grimaced. Don't say that word. You just confessed your greatest childhood glory. And I'm not allowed to call it adorable. It wasn't about the spelling. Dinah said more serious now. It was the focus, the silence, everyone waiting for you to get it right. The thrill of knowing something others didn't. Maya tilted her head. You liked being the smartest person in the room. Still do. Maya laughed, but her eyes lingered on Diana's. That explains a lot, actually. Like what? Like how you built an empire before 35. Like how you have 3 phones but still answer emails faster than anyone I know. Like how you memorize every person's coffee order but act like you don't care. Diana looked at her and there was something soft in her gaze. You notice things only when they're interesting. The silence that followed wasn't heavy. It was full of warmth, curiosity, something slowly beginning to unfold. Dinah shifted slightly, drawing one leg up onto the rug. Your turn, she said. Tell me something about you I wouldn't expect. Ma sipped her cocoa. I used to write songs. Diana blinked. Seriously? Yeah, in high school? Nothing impressive, but it helped. Gave me an escape. Do you still sometimes? Maya admitted. Lyrics mostly on the bus, in the shower, in my head when I can't sleep. You're full of surprises. Maya shrugged. Guess we both are. Another long pause. The fire cracked beside them. The light danced across Diana's features, casting shadows, softening edges. Maya couldn't stop looking at her. She didn't want to. Dinah caught her gaze and held it. Neither looked away this time. What are you thinking? Dinah asked. Maya's voice was a whisper that I was wrong about you. How so? I thought you were only brilliant in the boardroom, but you're more than that. You're funny and weird and warm when you let yourself be. Diana looked at her like she was trying to decide whether to say something else, and then she didn't. Instead, Maya leaned forward slowly, carefully, and reached up to touch Diana's hair. She tucked a loose strand behind her ear, mirroring the gesture Diana had made in the woods. Her fingers grazed her cheek, a heartbeat of contact. Diana didn't move. She only closed her eyes briefly, like the touch had done something to her, like it meant more than either of them could admit. Maya's hand lingered for a second longer before falling away. Neither of them said anything after that. They didn't need to. The fire burned beside them and something warmer burned between them. It was the kind of overcast winter day that held a certain quiet magic. The snow had softened overnight, turning the estate grounds into a canvas of white under a sky that couldn't decide if it wanted to snow again. The family had organized another outdoor gathering. Hot cider by the fire pit, marshmallows to roast, wool blankets draped over shoulders. It was warm, cozy, filled with joy. But for Maya, there was an undercurrent beneath everything. Every look. From Diana, every stolen glance when their fingers brushed as they passed mugs or adjusted blankets. Every time Diana's voice dropped just a little when speaking to her, like it wasn't just for the performance anymore. They hadn't spoken about the moment by the fire the night before. About the touch. About the way Diana had closed her eyes, like Maya's fingers were the first kind thing to touch her in a long time. But it was still there, hanging between them. Mia wasn't sure what scared her more, that they were getting too close, or that she didn't want to stop. "We should have a vow renewal right here," someone called from across the fire. "You two never told us what you're planning for the ceremony." Maya looked up mid-sip of her cider, eyes wide. Diana, seated beside her, didn't even flinch. "We're still discussing the details," she said smoothly. "Oh, come on." A cousin grinned. "Give us something. Make it up. Say your vows right now. It'll be cute." Spontaneous, another added. "We'll count it as your rehearsal." Dinah's fingers tapped lightly against her mug. Maya could feel the tension radiating off her, but it wasn't resistance. It was calculation. She was thinking, measuring, and then she stood. "All right." The crowd cheered. "Wait," Maya said, heart pounding, standing with her. "Are we seriously doing this?" Dinah looked at her, eyes locked. "They'll believe it more if we do." Maya swallowed. "Do I have to go first?" "Let me." Dinah turned to face her, their boots crunching softly against the snow, their audience watching with giddy anticipation. But Diana wasn't looking at them. She was only looking at Maya, and when she spoke, her voice was steady, low, and dangerously close to something real. "You are," she said, "the last person I expected to change me." "But you did." "Quietly, relentlessly, with your stubborn honesty and your refusal to let me hide behind who I pretend to be." Maya's breath caught. "You're impossible, irritating, always. Humming songs under your breath that get stuck in my head. And somehow I never want you to stop." Maya blinked frozen. "You've made my world softer," Dinah said. "And I didn't think I needed that, but I was wrong." There was silence around them now. No laughter, no teasing, just the fire crackling and the wind stirring the snow. It was Maya's turn. She stared at Diana, every part of her burning. She hadn't prepared for this, but her heart had. "I thought this would be a lie," she said softly. "I thought I'd just smile, play the part, collect the bonus, and walk away." Her voice wavered, but she didn't stop. "But you're not who I thought you were. You're better, smarter, fiercer, and you see me in a way no one else does." Dinah's eyes widened just slightly. Maya kept going. "Being next to you feels like standing still and falling at the same time. I don't know where this ends. I just know I'm not ready for it till a hush settled over the family." It wasn't awkward. It was reverent. Someone whispered, "That was beautiful." Diana didn't say anything. She only reached for Maya's hand, fingers, curling slowly, carefully until they were holding each other and neither let go. Not until the crowd began to drift away, leaving them standing there, quiet and breathless. Later, as Maya helped Dinah's aunt fold blankets inside, a voice interrupted. "Maya?" She turned. It was an older man, tall and elegant, with silver hair and a sharp gaze softened only by the faintest smile. Diana's father. They hadn't spoken more than a few polite greetings until now. "Hi," she said, suddenly self-conscious. I was wondering if I could steal you for a moment. Just us. Maya nodded, following him down the hall into the study. He gestured for her to sit and did the same across from her. I wanted to thank you, he said, for what you said earlier to Diana. Maya blinked. Oh, it wasn't. It mattered, he interrupted. Gently, I've known my daughter all her life, and I've never seen her look at anyone the way she looks at you. Maya's heart thudded. You don't even know me. I know enough. I know that Diana, for all her brilliance, has never let anyone in easily. She builds walls faster than anyone I've ever met. But today, during those vows, she lets someone in. Maya didn't know what to say. The man smiled. She's tough, stubborn, exceptionally hard on herself, but she's also loyal, and when she cares about someone, it's with everything she has. I just wanted you to know that. Thank you, Maya said quietly. But this whole thing is whatever it started as, he said. It's something real now, isn't it? Maya looked down at her hands. I think so. Good, he said, standing. Then don't run from it. And then he left. Ma sat there for a long time alone in the study, heart aching with something too big to name. That night, Diana didn't say much. She got ready for bed in silence. But when she climbed into bed, she didn't turn away. She lay on her side, watching. Maya in the dark, why did you say those things? She asked. At the fire pit. Maya hesitated because they needed to believe us. Try again. Maya turned to face her because I meant them. Dinah's breath hitched. Me too. There was no kiss, no touch, just eyes open in the dark. Two hearts beating far too loudly. Two women falling without a map. It started with a note. Maya found it on her pillow after breakfast, folded neatly in Diana's handwriting. Elegant, precise, just like her. Meet me by the greenhouse. Noon, nothing else, no explanation, no signature, but she didn't need one. The air was cold, crisp and bright when Maya made her way outside, the snow crunching softly beneath her boots. The greenhouse sat at the far end of the property, tucked between tall pines, its glass walls catching the sunlight like crystal. Diana was already there, dressed in a long dark coat, scarf loosely wrapped around her neck, hands in her pockets. She turned when Maya approached, eyes meeting hers with that same unreadable intensity that had been unraveling Maya from the inside out for days now. You came, Diana said. You invited me. I wasn't sure you would. Maya tilted her head. Why wouldn't? Because things are starting to feel dangerous. Only if we keep pretending it doesn't. Diana looked at her for a long moment, then gave a small, almost imperceptible nod and gestured with her head. Come on, I want to show you something. They walked in silence at first, past the greenhouse, into the line of trees, where a narrow path opened between the snow-laden branches. The trail was untouched, and the farther they walked, the quieter the world became. Just the sound of their boots and the occasional rustle of wind through pine needles. There is a frozen pond at the end of this path, Diana said. We used to skate on it as kids. Maya glanced sideways at her. Let me guess, you were perfect. At it. Dinah laughed, shaking her head. I was awful. I fell constantly. Hated the cold, but I liked the speed. The illusion of control. You're full of surprises. You say that like it's a bad thing. No, Maya said, smiling. It's my favorite thing about you. Dinah stopped walking. Just stopped. And Maya did too. They were deep enough into the woods now that the house was far behind them. No more family, no more lies, just the two of them and the sound of breath in the cold. You said that like you meant it, Diana said. Maya nodded. I did. Something in Diana's eyes flickered. This wasn't supposed to happen. What was an oh-woo? Diana said barely above a whisper, getting to me like this. Maya's heart pounded. I wasn't trying. But you did. Diana looked away, then back again. I don't know how to do this. Whatever this is. You don't have to figure it out right now, Maya said. But maybe you could just stop pushing it away. Diana was quiet for a long time. Then she said, I wanted to see you today. Just you without the noise, without the performance. Then let's stop pretending, Mia said, stepping closer. Just for a minute. Diana didn't move, didn't breathe. And then Mia reached out slow, deliberate, and took her gloved hand. Diana exhaled softly, shakily, and squeezed back. They stayed like that for a moment, hands clasped between them, heads slightly bowed like they were standing in front of something sacred. And then Maya stepped even closer. "Can I kiss you?" she asked, voice trembling. Diana didn't answer. She just leaned in, and that was enough. Their lips met in a kiss that wasn't practiced or polished or perfect. It was tentative, careful, a question and an answer at the same time. Maya felt every inch of it. The way Dinah's breath hitched when they touched, the slight shiver that passed between them, the way Dinah's hand came up to cradle her cheek like she didn't want her to disappear. When they finally broke apart, neither of them stepped back. Their foreheads touched, their breaths mingled, and in the silence between them, something settled. Something real. "Okay," Diana whispered. "That happened." Maya smiled. "Yeah, it did." They walked back slower this time, like they didn't want to disturb what had just bloomed between them. And Maya felt lighter than she had in days. No more pretending. No more questions about what this was. She didn't have all the answers, but she had that kiss. She had Diana's eyes on hers. She had something that felt real. But the moment they reached the porch of the estate, the warmth cracked. One of the housekeepers was waiting by the door, expression tight, eyes flicking between them. "Miss Westbrook," she said gently, "your brother is looking for you. He's in the study." Diana frowned. "Why?" he said. "It's important." "He knows." Maya stiffened. "Knows what?" The woman glanced at her, then lowered her voice. "I think everything." Diana didn't flinch, but her eyes darkened. "I'll handle it," she said, brushing past the woman, disappearing inside. Maya stood there, the cold suddenly sharper, the silence more threatening. Whatever peace they had found in the woods was about to be tested, and she wasn't sure if the lie they had built, no matter how much truth now lived inside, it could survive what was coming next. Maya sat at the edge of the bed, still in her coat, fingers wrapped tightly around the edge of the mattress. She hadn't moved since Diana disappeared into the house. The words "he knows" kept circling in her head over and over like a warning bell. She couldn't silence. The kiss still lingered on her lips, warm and electric, but now it felt like a secret that could be used against them, against her. The house around her was alive with its usual movement, footsteps, laughter, the clinking of dishes, but Maya heard none of it, only the sound of her own thoughts. 15 minutes passed. Then 20. She considered going downstairs. She considered packing her things. She didn't either. Finally, the door opened. Diana walked in slowly, removing her scarf with deliberate calm. Her face was unreadable. Maya stood. "What happened?" He confronted me, asked how long I planned to keep lying to everyone. "What did you say?" "That it was none of his business." Maya blinked. "That's it, not exactly." Diana walked to the window, looking out at the snow like it offered answers. "He threatened to tell the rest of the family. Said it would humiliate them if they found out we were faking everything." Ma's chest tightened. "Did he?" "No, not yet, but he will." Dinah turned slowly, her eyes meeting Mia's with a strange calm. "Not. If I beat him to it," Maya's heart stopped. "You're going to tell them?" Dinah took a step closer. "I'm going to tell them something." "Diana, let me handle this." "Handle what?" "That we lied. She stopped herself. "You don't owe me anything." "That's not true," Diana said quietly. "I do." Maya looked at her, really looked, and saw then not panic, not guilt, resolve. "What are you going to say?" Diana's lips curved into the faintest smile. Something that sounds a lot like the truth. The dining room was full. Warm light overhead, wine glasses clinking, voices rising in happy, lazy conversations. Maya stood just outside the doorway, heart hammering as she watched Diana step forward and clear her throat. "Can I say something?" The room quieted instantly. All eyes turned to her. "I know we've all been celebrating Maya and me this week," Diana began, "and you've been kind, supportive, and curious. And I appreciate it. Truly," she paused. "But I haven't been completely honest." Maya's breath caught. "The truth is," Diana said, "we didn't plan any of this. The engagement, the stories, the timelines. It wasn't a carefully orchestrated reveal. It was impulsive, messy, and maybe not the way I should have introduced someone so important to me." Whispers stirred. Maya stepped forward into the doorway. Dinah saw her, held her gaze. "But what I didn't lie about," Dinah continued, "is how I feel about her." The room went still. I'm not good at saying things or showing them, but Maya has this way of seeing past that, of seeing me. And if there's anything I'm sure of, it's that I don't want to go another year, another month, another day pretending. She doesn't matter to me. Maya's throat closed. "So no." Dinah said, "We're not planning a wedding yet." "But she's not a lie, and I won't let anyone treat her like one." Silence. Long, thick, stunned silence. Then Dinah's aunt stood. "Well, that's the most honest thing I've ever heard you say," she said, lifting her wine glass to being impulsive. Another voice followed to telling the truth. And just like that, the room thawed. Glasses were raised. Laughter returned. Nia couldn't breathe. Diana stepped back, walking toward her with measured steps, stopping just inches away. "You didn't have to do that," Maya whispered. "I did," Dinah said. "For me and then softer for you." Maya looked up at her completely undone. "That was dangerous. Everything worth feeling is." Maya didn't kiss her. Not here. Not yet. But her hand found Diana's. And for the first time since it arrived, she felt weightless. Later in their room, Dinah kicked off her heels and collapsed onto the bed. That could have gone worse. It could have gone catastrophic. "Did you see my uncle's face?" Dinah laughed. "He looked like he'd just learned I'd joined a cult." "Well, you kind of did." "Excuse me, the cult of feelings?" Diana groaned, burying her face in a pillow. "Don't make me regret it." Maya climbed beside her, smiling. "I won't." Diana rolled onto her back, looking at the ceiling. "They're going to start asking what we are now." "What are we?" Diana looked at her. "I don't know." Maya nodded. "Me neither." But neither of them moved away. And somewhere deep in the quiet of that night, Maya realized something terrifying and beautiful. She didn't want this to end. Not the act, not the closeness, not the feeling of waking up beside Diana and knowing she wasn't alone. There was a different kind of quiet in the house now. Not the tense silence of secrets being held too tightly, but a softer one, like the exhale that comes after too many days spent holding your breath. Since Dinah's speech, everything had shifted. No more fake questions, no more performances. The family treated Maya with a new warmth, not out of politeness, but something deeper, like she'd earned her place. And maybe, just maybe, she had. But it wasn't the family's approval that made Maya feel like she belonged. It was the way Diana had. Looked at her afterward like she had said those things not just to protect her, but because they were real, because they mattered. Because Maya mattered? It wasn't love, not yet. But it was something heading straight for it. That afternoon, the sky was silver with clouds, and the snow had hardened into a glittering crust. Ma stood by the front door, scarf already around. Her neck, gloves in hand, watching flakes begin to fall again in lazy spirals. Diana appeared behind her without a sound as usual. "Want to walk?" she asked. No explanation. No pretending it was about appearances, just a question. Maya turned and nodded. "Yeah, I do." They didn't take the usual trail. Instead, they veered off toward the left side of the property, past the barn and the frost-covered garden into the stretch of trees that rarely got footsteps. Everything around them was white and silver, like the world had been stripped down to bone and light. They walked in silence at first, the good kind. The kind that meant something was brewing in the spaces between them. Maya felt it coming. She just didn't know what shape it would take. When this week started, Dinah said, finally breaking the quiet, "I didn't think I'd survive it." Maya smiled. "You almost didn't. You panicked every time someone mentioned wedding planning." "I don't like not having control." "No kidding." Dinah glanced at her. "I'm serious. I've always known how to manage things. Build them, break them down, but this us." She paused. "It's not something I can manage. Maybe that's a good thing." Dinah was quiet again. They walked a little farther, boots crunching over frozen ground until they reached a clearing where the trees parted just enough for the sky to open above them. Dinah stopped. So did Maya, and then without ceremony or hesitation, Dinah reached for her hand. No rush, no second G-wing. Just that simple, deliberate motion, fingers slipping into Maya's. Glove-covered ones. Holding, Nia looked down at their hands and then up. Dinah wasn't looking at her. She was looking straight ahead like she couldn't bear to watch Maya react, but she didn't let go. Mia squeezed. Dinah's eyes flicked to hers then, hesitant and sharp and wide open. "That's the first time you've done that," Maya said softly. "It's the first time I wanted to." They stood like that in the middle of the clearing, the snow falling gently around them, the world impossibly quiet. It wasn't the kiss that mattered. It wasn't the night in the kitchen or the story by the fire. It was this. The way their fingers laced together like they were built to. The way Dinah let herself need, and Maya let herself be wanted. "I'm going to miss this," Maya said almost to herself. When it's over, Dinah didn't look away. Who says it has to be? "We go back to Seattle in 2 days. To the office, to deadlines, to being boss in a system again. We don't have to." Maya blinked. "What do you mean?" Dinah took a breath, stepped closer. "I mean, I don't want this to go back to what it was. I don't want to pretend this didn't happen. I don't want to forget the way you look at me when you think I'm not paying attention, or the way your voice gets softer when it's just us." Maya's chest tightened. "Diana, I'm not asking for answers right now," she said quickly. "I know this isn't simple, but she paused, swallowed. "Stay with me after this is over." Maya couldn't breathe. "You're not just saying that." "No, you're not trying to make up for the lie." "No." Maya stepped closer, her hands still in Diana's, her heart no longer hers. "Then yes." Dinah blinked. Yes, I'll stay with you." Dinah's shoulders dropped, tension melting like snow under sunlight. She leaned her forehead against Ma's, eyes closed, breath shaky. "Thank God! We still have to figure it out," Maya whispered. "We will. The office, the dynamic, what people will say." "Let them talk," Dinah said. "Let them wonder. I've spent most of my life building walls. You're the first person who made me want to open a door." Maya smiled, eyes stinging. "That was poetic." "I try." They stayed like that for a long time. Hands clasped, foreheads together, not moving, not needing to. And in that quiet place between snow and sky, Maya knew this wasn't just the beginning of something new. It was the end of everything they thought they knew about love. The air between them had changed. Not just because they were touching more, though they were. Not just because Dinah now kissed the corner of Maya's mouth in passing when no one was looking, or laced their fingers together under the dinner table, or whispered jokes into her ear that made Mia choke on her wine. No, it was something deeper. A softness, a mutual understanding, a silent unspoken agreement that what they had become was no longer about roles or lies or pretending. They had crossed that line. They were in it now. And for a while it was bliss. It was Diana pulling Maya by the hand toward the kitchen late at night, stealing leftover cookies and sitting on the floor to eat them like teenagers. It was Maya falling asleep against Diana's shoulder during a family movie night, only to wake with Dinah's hand in her hair and the scent of her skin in every breath. It was them walking through snow trails during the afternoon with no plan, no goal, just the quiet comfort of each other's presence. Every moment felt precious, temporary, like they were living inside a snow globe someone would shake at any minute. "You're glowing," Dinah's cousin teased over brunch, sliding into the seat beside Maya. "Don't deny it." That post-kiss energy is loud. Maya flushed, but didn't argue. Across the room, Dinah was laughing with her niece, lifting her into her lap and letting her braid strands of her hair with plastic glittery clips. The woman Maya had worked for, terrifying, cold, unreachable, was now sitting in a turtleneck sweater covered in rainbow hairpins, letting a 5-year-old decorate her like a doll. Maya smiled. "She's different here," the cousin said. Mia blinked. "What do you mean?" "I mean, I've never seen her like this." "Not even close, you did that." Mia looked down at her plate. "I don't know what I did. You let her feel safe?" "That's rare for her." The cousin stood again, patting Mia's shoulder. "I hope she knows how lucky she is." That afternoon, Dinah pulled Maya aside after helping her mother prepare spice cider in the kitchen. "Come with me," she said, grabbing 2 mugs and nudging Mia toward the stairs. They snuck away to the rooftop balcony, cold and quiet, with a perfect view of the snow-covered hills and the frozen lake beyond. Maya leaned against the rail. Dinah pressed a mug into her hand. "Cheers to survival," she said. Maya clinketed her cup with a smile to making it through fake engagements and emotional avalanches. Diana laughed in glitter hair clips. "You looked amazing, by the way." "Shut up." They drank. Then silence. The good kind. Dinah's eyes stayed on Maya for a long moment before she said, "Tomorrow we leave." Maya nodded slowly. "Yeah, you okay?" "I don't know." Dinah didn't press. Just waited. Maya sighed. "It's been easy here, easier than I expected. And I'm scared of what happens when we go back. When we're not in this bubble anymore." Dinah looked at her. "We're still us. Are we?" "Yes." "Even when you're sending 20 emails a minute and too busy to look at me between meetings." Diana stepped closer. "You think I'll go back to ignoring you?" I think Maya hesitated. "I think I don't know how to exist in your world. Not like this. Not as your girlfriend." The word felt strange in her mouth, but Diana didn't flinch. She reached out and brushed Maya's hair behind her ear, letting her fingers trail down to her cheek. "Then let's build a new world. One where we get to choose what that looks like." Maya's eyes burned. "What if I mess it up?" "Then we figure it out together." Maya leaned in, forehead resting against Diana's. "You're better at this than I expected." "I've been studying." Maya laughed, wiping at her eyes. "God, you're annoying, but charming." "Barely." They stayed like that until the sun began to set. Until the world turned gold and silver and quiet again. Until the warmth of Diana's hand and hers made Mia forget briefly that anything could go wrong. That night at dinner, one of Dinah's uncles made an offhand comment that slid under Mia's. "Skin like a splinter?" "I'll believe she's serious when I see her bring someone home more than once." The table laughed. Mia didn't. She watched Diana, who simply smiled, raised her glass, and said nothing. And that stung. Later, while brushing her teeth in the shared bathroom, Ma stared at herself in the mirror and asked a question she wasn't ready to say aloud. Am I going to be another temporary thing for her? Back in the room, Dinah was already in bed, reading on her tablet. She looked up when Mia walked in. "You okay?" Mia nodded. "Just tired. Come here." Maya climbed in beside her. Dinah placed the tablet down and turned, wrapping an arm around her waist, pulling her close. It was so easy, so automatic. It felt like something they'd done for years. "Tomorrow we go back," Mia whispered. "Yes, and everything will be different. Not if we don't let it be." Mia didn't answer. She curled tighter into Dinah's chest and closed her eyes. But sleep didn't come easily. Not with the question still burning in the back of her mind. What happens to me when the bubble bursts? The city was louder than Maya remembered. Or maybe it just felt that way because the silence she carried inside. Her since leaving the Westbrook estate made every honk, every footstep, every elevator ding echo louder. The snow here was gray and slushy, no longer romantic. The sky was dull. The magic was gone. She returned to the office on a Thursday morning, wrapped in a coat that still smelled faintly like pine and cinnamon, wondering if any of it had been real. Her desk was where she left it, her inbox overflowing, her name back to being signed at the bottom of emails instead of whispered in the dark. Diana's door was closed. As usual, Mia didn't knock. As the hours passed, Mia waited for a signal, a glance, a message, anything. But Diana didn't call her in, didn't ask how she was, didn't even text her that night. Maya went home to an apartment that felt emptier than it had before. She sat on her couch with a mug of tea she didn't drink and stared at the wall, her phone. Beside her, screen lit up but blank. Nothing. No, I miss you. No, are you okay? Not even a made it through the day. Just cold space and silence. On Friday, Maya saw her in the hallway. Diana was walking with 2 board members. Her stride crisp, her blazer sharp, her eyes focused straight ahead. Mia's heart thudded just seeing her. But Diana didn't pause, didn't flinch, didn't even meet. Her gaze. Maya kept walking, the knot in her chest tightening with every step. At lunch, she stared at her sandwich and wondered how someone could go from brushing hair behind her ear to pretending she didn't exist in less than a week. Was it that simple for Diana? Was it just the snow, the isolation, the illusion of intimacy? Maya had told herself she was prepared for the shift back into reality, but she wasn't. Not for this. Not for the ache that grew heavier each time her phone stayed quiet. Not for the nights alone. Not after holding Diana in a bed that had started to feel like home. On Sunday, Diana texted, "Can we reschedule dinner tomorrow?" Something came up. Ma stared at the message. It was polite, cold, professional, like nothing had changed. Like no promises had been whispered under blankets. Like no one had held her hand in the snow and said, "Stay with me." Her fingers hovered over the screen. "Sure, let me know when you're free." She pressed send and hated herself for how fast the reply came. Monday came, then Tuesday, and still no reschedule. Maya started wondering if she'd imagined the entire thing. The kiss in the woods, the laughter, the way Diana had watched. Her like she was learning how to hope again. Maybe she had invented all of it. A fairy tale she needed more than she admitted. Maybe Diana had just been playing a role for her family, and now the role was over. On Wednesday, Maya stayed late. The office was quiet, most people gone. Her screen glowed blue in the dark. She wasn't working. She just couldn't stand going home. She stared at the calendar app. Diana's schedule was packed with meetings, calls, high decisions. No room for us. No space for I meant it. She got up slowly, walked toward Diana's office, and hesitated at the door. The light was on, but she couldn't hear anything, just the faint sound of typing. She lifted her hand to knock, then lowered it. She stood there for a full 30 seconds before turning away. That night, lying in bed, Maya pressed her phone to her chest and whispered into the dark, "You said you didn't want to pretend. So why does this feel worse than pretending ever did?" What Maya didn't know, what she couldn't see, was that Diana wasn't ignoring her. Diana was building something, planning something. She had spent the last 3 days rewriting the company's HR relationship disclosure forms, quietly requesting transfers, scheduling private meetings, coordinating with legal. She was restructuring their roles, redefining boundaries, making space for them so Maya wouldn't have to be her assistant anymore, so Maya could be her partner. Diana had known from the moment they left the estate that she couldn't go back to. Keeping Maya behind a desk. She didn't want her hidden. She wanted her beside her, but it wasn't something she could say over text. It wasn't something she could ask for lightly. It had to be done right, officially, respectfully, and it had to be a surprise, something that said, "I meant every word." But every hour she waited, every silence she created while tying up the logistics, Maya was unraveling, quietly alone, thinking she'd been forgotten. That the truth they'd found together was melting like snow under city lights. And Dinah didn't even know how close she was to losing her. By Thursday, Maya had decided she couldn't keep doing this. She had given it time, space, understanding. But whatever it was between her and Diana, whatever they had shared in that house, buried in snow and secrets and starlight, it was gone. Or maybe it had never truly belonged to the world outside that. Bubble! Maybe it was always meant to dissolve in the city smog, lost in the fluorescent cold of office corridors and business casual smiles. Diana hadn't touched her, had barely looked at her. And Maya wasn't a fool. She knew when something had shifted or ended, so she'd made her decision. Finish the week, stay professional, keep her head down, and once the month closed, she'd request a transfer. Quiet, clean, no drama, no confrontation. She couldn't be the girl who clung to a maybe. Not anymore. That morning, the company's quarterly all-staff meeting was scheduled in the main conference room. The one with glass walls and tiered seating where over 80 employees would gather to hear department updates, projections, and the dreaded company culture segment. Diana always managed to breeze through with precision. Maya arrived early as usual. Clipboard in hand, headphones in her ears as she double-checked the mic settings and slide sequence. She avoided looking at Diana's seat. When the room filled, Maya took her place against the back wall as she always did. Half in the room, half invisible, just the assistant again, not the woman who had once slept beside the CEO with her fingers tangled in hers. Diana arrived right on time, impeccable, uncheckable, the picture of power in heels. Her expression was unreadable as she crossed the room and took the podium. She began the meeting as always, crisp, controlled, efficient. Maya barely listened. Her pulse was too loud, her chest too tight. Then, halfway through the personnel and structural announcement section, Diana paused, looked out at the room, and said, "Before I move on, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge someone." Maya Carter. Every head turned. Maya froze. The blood drained from her face. Maya has been my executive assistant for over 3 years. Dinah continued, eyes on her now. She's been the quiet backbone of this company. Efficient, brilliant, strategic, and for the past few months, severely underutilized. A murmur swept through the room. Dinah kept going. As of next week, Maya will no longer be serving as my assistant. Maya's heart stopped. She felt the floor disappear. She will be stepping into the role of project development coordinator overseeing our next internal integration initiative. Another wave of murmurs is, Maya stood in shock. "This is not just a promotion," Diana said. "It's a correction, an overdue one." And then her tone shifted just slightly, just enough for only Maya to hear the change. "There's more to this story, but what matters most is this. I trust her. I believe in her. And I want her exactly where she is, not behind me, beside me." Maya's hands trembled, her throat closed. The room erupted in polite applause. Diana moved on with the meeting, calm, professional, but Maya was no longer listening. She felt like someone had reached into her chest and struck a match. After the meeting, people congratulated her, smiled, offered polite nods and surprised compliments, but Maya barely heard any of it. Her feet moved without thinking, straight to Diana's office. She didn't knock. She opened the door. Diana was behind her desk, taking off her blazer, setting down her notes. She looked up. "Maya, you didn't tell me. I wanted it to be a surprise. You said nothing for days because I was fixing it, making space, so you'd know I wasn't just saying things I couldn't prove. You didn't return my texts. You left me in silence. I didn't mean to hurt you. You did. I know." Silence. And then Dinah stepped out from behind the desk, stood in front of her. "I'm sorry," she said. "I thought I was doing the right thing, giving you something real, a place here, a way for us to exist without limits." Maya swallowed, and I thought I'd been forgotten. "You haven't." "Not for a second." Maya's eyes burned. "You made me feel small again, like I was nothing more than your assistant. You've never been just that. Then why didn't you just talk to me? Diana's voice cracked. Because I was scared that if I didn't do this right, I'd lose you. Ma stared at her. You almost did. Diana nodded. I know. Then softer, do I still have a chance? Maya didn't speak. She just walked forward, closed the space between them, and reached for Diana's hand. You're lucky I'm still here. Diana held on. Tightly, I know that too. And then Maya kissed her. Fierce, frustrated, needing. Diana kissed her back like someone who had nearly drowned and was finally breathing again. And this time it wasn't stolen. It wasn't hidden. It was the first kiss. Of something real. Something lasting. And neither of them had to pretend anymore. 2 weeks had passed since the kiss in Diana's office. Since the truth had stopped being a risk and started being a promise. And in those 2 weeks, everything changed slowly, deliberately, beautifully. Maya no longer sat behind Diana. She sat beside her at meetings, at presentations, at after-hours brainstorms where coffee turned into wine and ideas turned into quiet glances. Their relationship wasn't a secret anymore, but they weren't flaunting it either. They didn't need to. It was in the way Diana touched Mia's lower back when she passed behind her. The way Mia brought Dinah tea before she even asked. The way Dinah's voice softened only for her, no matter how many executives were in the room. It was in the ordinary things, made extraordinary by the weight of shared history, by the depth of what they'd already been through, by the truth they'd finally earned. On Fridays, they left the office together. No excuses, no separation. They'd walk to Mia's apartment, hand in hand, pick up dinner on the way, and spend the evening curled up on the couch, watching Mia's favorite terrible movies. Something Diana had once pretended to be too dignified for. Now she quoted them under her breath and secretly laughed before the punchlines. Maya, in turn, learned that Diana liked her space clutter-free, her mornings quiet and her sleep uninterrupted. They compromised. They collided. They grew. And each night when Maya fell asleep with Diana's arm draped over her waist, she knew without question this was real. This was love. But still, Diana hadn't said the words. Not out loud. Maya didn't rush it. She knew what it cost someone like Diana to offer her heart, so she waited patiently. But sometimes late at night, she wondered if Diana felt it too. If it burned her the way it burned Maya. On the last Sunday of the month, Diana told her, "Don't make plans for tonight." "Okay," Maya said. "What's happening?" "Just don't ask too many questions. That's rich coming from you." Dinah smirked, but offered no clues. That evening, she picked Mia up at her apartment with a quiet, "You look beautiful," and led her to a black car waiting downstairs. Maya tried to guess the destination, but Dinah wouldn't say. "Patience," she whispered, fingers lacing with maize in the back seat. "You'll like it." They drove for over an hour past the city lights and into the quieter outskirts until finally they pulled into a small driveway surrounded by trees. Maya frowned. "Is this a cabin?" Donna nodded. "Technically, yes." "Are you taking me to a horror movie set?" "No," Dinah said, amused. "But if I were, you'd still follow me." Unfortunately, the driver left. Diana took Maya's hand and led her inside. The place was warm, cozy, lit by soft lamps and scented candles. A fire crackled in the stone fireplace, and the table was set for two. Maya blinked. "Did you plan all of this?" "Yes." "Why?" Diana took a breath. "Because the last time I asked you to pretend to be mine, it was in a snow-covered mansion full of secrets. This time, I wanted to ask you for real. Just us? Just this? Just this?" Maya's heart stilled. "Ask me what?" Diana reached into her coat pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Maya gasped. "Diana, not that," she said quickly, laughing nervously. "Not yet." "I'm not insane," Mia laughed, breathless. "Then what is that?" Diana opened the box. Inside was a silver ring. Not an engagement ring, not a diamond, just A simple band with a tiny inscription inside. No more pretending. I wanted to give you something. Diana said, voice softer now. Something that says, I'm not walking away from this from you. Maya blinked, throat tight. You don't have to prove anything to me. I want to, Diana said, because I know I hurt you and because I've spent most of my life hiding behind walls and God, Maya, you just walked right through them like it was nothing, like I was worth the risk. Maya stepped closer, you are. Diana took her hand, slid the ring onto Maya's finger. I love you, she said finally, without hesitation. I didn't know what it felt like before you, but now I do. Maya's heart cracked open. I love you too, she said. I think I did even before I knew it wasn't just a job. Dinah laughed, eyes shining. You're my favorite mistake. You're my least professional decision. They kissed then, soft, slow, certain. No tension, no fear, just love. That night, after dinner, after wine, after kisses that turned into something deeper, they lay tangled beneath soft blankets. The fire still glowing low. Maya rested her head against Diana's shoulder, fingers trailing circles on her skin. What? Now, she whispered. Now, Diana said. Now we build something day by day. No more pretending, never again. Maya smiled into her skin. Good, because I've never wanted anything more real in my life. Diana kissed her temple. You have me. All of me. And this time Maya believed it.